Good evening, and on behalf of our Black History Month Committee, we'd like to welcome you to our 4th annual District U-46 Black History Month celebration. We take this opportunity to reflect on the rich heritage and identity of Black Americans. We are committed to embracing the legacy, acknowledging the struggle, and engaging in meaningful work that dismantles barriers that may impede Black excellence. May the spirit of this night be encapsulated in everything we bring ourselves to do. We are here. Our impact is lasting. There is need of us in this hour and every second that follows. We acknowledge that we stand on the shoulders of Black leaders, teachers, students, staff, stakeholders, and allies who have opened doors and opportunities for us to achieve a more evolved U-46. Thank you. It is befitting that we start our time together with the presentation of Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Black National Anthem, performed by Dr. Wisa Jones, accompanied by Dr. Margaret Brady. Following that, we'll hear a welcome from our school superintendent, Tony Sanders. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Tony Sanders. I'm the Superintendent of School District U-46, and it's my honor to welcome you tonight to the Black History Month event. I want to thank the organizers of tonight's event for putting this all together. I wish we could all be in person. That would certainly be the ideal, but I'm glad you're here joining us tonight for this wonderful celebration. Carla, did I come on at the right time? I hope I came on at the right time. All right, thank you, April, for confirming that. First of all, I'd like to start off by saying I wish that we could just not only be together in person, but also hear Risa sing that glorious song together. She is such an amazing artist and such a wonderful human being. And I always appreciate hearing her sing this typically in person at our events. I'd like to just briefly talk a little bit about some of the work we've done in U-46 to really that I thought at the beginning was transformative, but in hindsight, as I work towards my doctorate, and I know tonight as you hear our special guest speaker, Brittany Barber, who's also finishing up her doctorate, I've had to do a lot of reflection about the state of U-46 and the state of public education in general. And so before I get into some of the things that we've done to actually improve the lives of students, I have to acknowledge that we've not done enough. I've not done enough. We've not done enough as a system. We've not done enough as a state. And we certainly have not done enough as a country to address the needs of all kids. And of course, our motto is all means all, and we should be living up to that every day. Early on in 2008, when I first became 2014, when I became the superintendent, I started in the district in 2007. There were several things we did right out of the gate. Number one is we stopped expelling kids from school physically expelling kids from school. We would still submit packets and we would still go through the process, but we would never physically expel the child from school. We would make sure they would have access to an alternative type of a setting. Within the first year, we began preparation for the launch of full day kindergarten, which came out the following school year. We started also working with the board and putting together a proposition that I would fight for an equitable school funding formula that we finally got passed through the General Assembly several years later in 2017. That's resulted in a lot more resources coming into the school district. Our board passed an equity policy. They passed a dual language policy. April Wells, who is with us here tonight and is one of the organizers, has really done amazing work in increasing access and opportunities for students in gifted programming. But I say all that to also recognize that we've not done enough. As a district, we hope to remedy those things. We've been going through an equity audit to really point out some of our areas of growth and areas for opportunity. We've been working to develop an African-American curriculum specific to our high school students so that we really do celebrate all African-American accomplishments across our school district. We've been doing a lot of other things, such as the Panorama Equity and Inclusion Survey, which we'll be administering again this coming spring. And of course, we encourage all parents to take the annual 5 Essentials survey, which is open right now. We always like for you to take that one as well. But we need your feedback on how to continue to improve. As a district, we're in the midst of working towards a new facilities master plan, which would create a true middle school model for our students going into middle school. And in doing so, provides more opportunities for early childhood education, which we believe would be one of the keys to generating greater success for all kids moving forward. But we still have a lot of work to do together. I'm committed to being here with you to do that work, recognizing that I've not always gotten it right and we've not always gotten it right. But if we don't recognize that in ourselves and aim to improve it, then we will have just by omitting our own, recognizing our own fallibility. So I'll leave it with that, just saying that we can do better as a system, as a community, by working together, and I'm committed to working alongside all of you for the betterment of all kids. Thank you, and I can't wait to enjoy the rest of tonight's program.
Thank you very much, Tony, for sharing. We are so encouraged by your leadership and your ability to help assist and lift the work in timely and timeless ways. Since we have come together to really honor our U-46 Black scholars, it's absolutely appropriate for us to set aside time to hear greetings from two student representatives. You have the pleasure and the honor of hearing from Lily Thompson, who will be followed by Robert West. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lily Thompson. I am a sixth grader in the Dual Ignite program at Ronald O'Neill Elementary School, and I'm very happy to welcome you to Seizing the Moment, Embracing Black Excellence, and Recognizing Black U-46 Scholars. Rosa Parks, MLK, Harriet Tubman, three of the most commonly mentioned historical African American figures, especially in school. I believe Black History Month is a great time to focus on other important examples of Black excellence in American history. Take Madam C.J. Walker as an example, the first Black female millionaire. Her products were and are so phenomenal that you can still buy them to this day. Or Jane Bolin, the first Black woman to graduate from Yale Law School and become a judge. I could even settle for Frederick Douglass, author and women's rights activist. Now, in present time, there are still so many things we can be fighting against, but there are so many people who managed to achieve what appeared to be unachievable acts of Black excellence, even in the face of segregation and racism. For example, we have folks like Amanda Gorman, the youngest inauguration poet, or Oprah, who, although had a traumatizing past, managed to build an all-girls school in South Africa, the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy. Then there's the fantastic Bree Newsom. 7 years ago, she scaled a flagpole in South Carolina and removed a Confederate flag. Although we're nowhere near done, there's still more racism to be handled, definitely. But let's take a moment to celebrate and recognize our future models of Black excellence. Moving forward, we must always remember that there is more to Black History Month than Rosa Parks, MLK, and Harriet Tubman. Sure, they did amazing things, but there are and were so many others who demonstrated the same, if not higher, level of achievement. Welcome. Let's celebrate Black excellence in the past, present, and future.
Hi, my name is Robert West, and I'm in 8th grade, Kenyonwood Middle School, and I'm representing Brothers Rise Up. And Black History Month is special to me because
Can't believe you did that.
Thank you, Robert. We will move further ahead and we'll provide opportunity to have Robert continue with us and provide an opportunity for him to share his reflection. He can do so if he'd like to. I'll let him know when the next opportunity to speak. We see this powerful experience of Black excellence, and we have the pleasure of having these amazing scholars here with us. And while we see Lily and Robert here tonight, there are many others in School District U-46, and we salute you on tonight. We see you, and we are proud of you, and we continue to commit to the work so that we provide for you an educational experience that honors the Black excellence that is evident inside of you. Thanks, Lily and Robert. I'm going to encourage you at this time to move to the edge of your seat. Trust me when I ask you to do so. Brittany Barber. Brittany Barber is an educator, speaker, blogger, and creator of tools and events that help people grow and persist. With more than 10 years of experience in higher education, and over 5 years as a public speaker, Brittany uses relational storytelling to disrupt beliefs about personal limitations and ignite people to pursue every ounce of incredible in this world. When Mrs. B hits the stage, audiences of all ages are stirred into action as they are reminded of how bold, how capable, and how brilliant they are. Brittany Barber holds a bachelor's degree in communications, a master's degree in nonprofit management and leadership, and is pursuing a doctorate in higher education, administration, and leadership. She is married to her absolute best friend, Rodney Barber, mother of their little giant, Nina, and a proud servant of Jesus Christ. Fasten your seatbelts. Here we go, Brittany Barber.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for the warm welcome. I am so excited to be back with you today. I want to give a huge thank you to U-46 School District. Thank you to the Black History Committee, and thank you to the scholars, because if y'all weren't doing what you were doing, there would be no reason for us to be together today. It feels so good to be with you in this Black History year. As well, because the more digitized and up close access we get to the madness going on in the world, I find myself just more in love with us. In the midst of our public triumphs and grief and questions, I have found myself crying out for people that I have never even met before, gushing over screens at the sight of Black love and yelling, "Pop off, sis!" and shut it down, right? Every time Black people do literally anything, right? So I am really, really excited to be here with you today. I thought today that I would share a story with you as we get to know each other a little bit better. So I'm actually an alum of Larkin High School. I would love to say that I was proud about that back then, but I was just a really angsty teenager and just did not care about nothing. All right. And so it was school spirit time, right? We get gathered into the gym for a pep rally, and I didn't care about school. I didn't care about spirit. I didn't care about school spirit, right? And so I'm sitting in the gym ready to be unimpressed. And I remember this speaker came in. I don't remember what he said. I don't remember what he looked like, but I remember that when he left that stage, suddenly I cared about school, and I was amazed at how he did that. And I left like I have cracked the code. I have figured out what I want to be for the rest of my life. I want to do that. I want to help people get excited about stuff. I don't even know yet, but that's what I want to do. So I run home, so excited. We had family in town, and I'm excited, right? Because every kid gets asked that question. What do you want to be when you grow up? It is the most common and annoying question ever. But I'm like, I got it. I got it. Grab your goggles. We about to take an eye and look at what my future is going to be. I'm going to be a motivational speaker. And a family member that I love and trust so dearly said, you can't be a motivational speaker. You haven't been through enough. Now, I was 15 or 16 at the time, and I didn't know how much I was supposed to have gone through at the time, right? So some of it, deflected off of me, but I thought, okay, we can fix it. We can fix it. So I take this comment like some unnecessary carry-on luggage on a flight, and I go up to my bedroom and I pray the dumbest prayer that I have ever prayed in my entire life. I go, God, please let me go through things in life so that I could be a motivational speaker. And life was like, say word? Oh, bet. And life proceeded to do what life does. A few weeks later, I arrived to school wearing these super bright yellow sneakers. This is before bright sneakers was in, right? And so I'm walking in my new brand, right? Trying to become this motivational speaker and take up this space. And these two girls follow me from the hall all the way down the hallway to the doors of the Performing Arts Academy, because if you couldn't tell, I'm a theater kid. And they mock and heckle me in my shoes the entire way. And I didn't realize at the time how much that devastated me, but I never wore those yellow shoes or the color yellow ever again after that. Because for me, at that moment, I had given up the fight to be seen. Because to me, the fight to be seen, it was too worthy, it was too high a cost if I had to deal with the weight of their doubt about me. Have you ever had that moment? That temptation, that invitation to wither back because someone or some place has grown too accustomed to your invisibility. And they decide to remind you to keep residence in a place that never belonged to you. Have you been there? Are you still there? Have you ever found yourself almost surrounded by those defensive and offended by your effort, your exuberance, your breathing? And so you get the good grades, you do what needs to be done, but all of the best parts of yourself, you reserve for smaller, trusted circles, solutions you have now cobwebbing in your belly. I get it. But my assignment today is to make sure that you heavily, intimately, unapologetically seize every moment you have to shine. Your light carries such a weight that in the absence of your kind of brilliance, the trajectory of who is around you and who is after you could shift and derail entirely. You matter. Not as a mantra, not as a hashtag, but matter-of-factly. To my scholars and really to every person watching me right now, I want you to understand is that we don't just love you and want you, we need you. That may sound intense and a little bit abstract, right? But it's my goal tonight to prove it to you because it was a little bit weird to me at first, right? So a few years after high school, I'm still sitting in this anti-yellow movement of mine. And I learned about this figure, right? I learned about this particular movement called the People's Grocery Lynching. So in 1892 in Memphis, Tennessee, there were 3 Black men who owned a business that began competing with white businesses around them, right? So essentially they was making more money than everybody else. And a white mob formed and it took them out and beat them and they were arrested and thrown in jail. And then that wasn't enough. The mob came back and dragged them out and then lynched them. Ida B. Wells, a Black teacher and journalist at the time, was friends with these men and publicly grieved their deaths in print, denouncing the horrors of lynching in the South. This one woman literally armed herself with a pistol and drove around Jim Crow South, demonstrating and investigating over 700 lynching murders that had taken place. She took on mainstream media that tried to defend that Black people lynched were criminals, and she proved with receipts that in 2/3 of lynchings, Black men and women accused of crimes never had a crime at all. Ida B. Wells was the one to say their names when their names disappeared into the dark. She was so brave. She was so excellent. And she is known to have said, one had better die fighting injustice than die like a dog or a rat in a trap, which mirrored the words of Sam Sharp, another figure that I would learn about. Over 60 years before the People's Grocery lynching and Ida B. Wells, Sam Sharp, a Jamaican minister, he leads this nonviolent rebellion against sugarcane plantation owners. At the time, the only large gatherings that enslaved Africans were allowed to attend were religious meetings. Sam Sharp was not the first to do so, but he led these meetings to share liberation theology, political thoughts, and galvanize the people into action. He led a plan for nonviolent rebellion to kick off on Christmas Day with hundreds of enslaved Africans joining him. And when plantation owners ignored them, they set fire to the Kensington estate, strategically attempting to cripple plantation owners economically, but also to signal those from afar, light these fields on fire, right? So we can come together as a group. Horribly, martial law was called and British troops were sent in, killing over 500 enslaved Africans without a trial. Sam Sharp was hung, but 2 years later, in 1834, British Parliament passed the abolition bill, and in 1838, slavery in the area was abolished. While waiting to be hung, Sam Sharp said, "I would rather die in the gallows than live in slavery." And in sum, what Ida and Sam were saying to me in the midst of my anti-yellow movement, they said, "I would rather die than be anything less than free." And that sat with me and woke something back up in me. I stared at these two stars amongst the constellation of African maroons, Charles the Law, Maya Angelou, my mother's Black history lessons that she taught us in summers, my grandmama who wore these exuberant church hats and would tell my mom, "You can go anywhere that white folks can go." I would think about my grandfather and how not even with an elementary graduation became the foreman on construction sites. And I realized in this lineage of a Black and divine radical tradition, excellence, particularly Black excellence, is a form of resistance. Though we've never met Sam Sharp, never met Ida B. Wells, some of you have never even met me, yet there is this linear generational connection between us that understands, even if it is not clearly articulated, that our existence is the antithesis of average. Put another way, our residing in this place of excellence, which is our natural habitat, is a generations-long bucking back, if you will. Because even if some of us are still trying to figure out who we are in the face of things that would suggest that we are beneath, there is something that stirs up in the pit of our bellies and tells us to respond with the "what you not gonna do." I know I'm talking to somebody. Excellence is our resistance to bowing lower than the righteousness that runs through our veins. We've known it since we were forced on the ships off the coast of Africa, being beaten to bend and lay below deck. I grew to understand and know that if I cower, if I shrink, if I am asked or told to take the light in me and bottle it up for someone else's convenience or esteem or comfort, then I will never be able to afford that cost. And neither can you. Our excellence today cost us bodies at the bottom of the Atlantic. Our excellence today was built by Maroons in the Caribbean, Central America, and Southern America. If Sam Sharp had not believed, what or who else would have influenced the abolition bill? What fuel would have been missing from Ida B. Wells' genealogy had Sam remained dim? Though Ida B. Wells died more quietly than she had ever lived, had she tempered her anger into knitting for self-pleasure instead of galvanizing her pain into action for the people, where would the civil rights have been? Where would we be? Where would I be? I believe that excellence is the acceptance of our immutable, inherent brilliance. I'm gonna say that one more time because I want you to write it down. Excellence is the acceptance of our immutable, inherited brilliance. And it links us inextricably to one another. Not to knock those of you who are team independent, but we were born a familial people. Every first step becomes an instep for somebody else. Every time you shine, it makes it easier for someone else to see. And if you should ever shy away from your rightful place in the light, what darkness might await those who come behind you? We need you to seize every moment to embrace your inherent excellence. Excellence is not you trying to be. Baby, excellence is just who you are. Last year, I was having a really low moment. I was working on my comprehensive exam for my degree. And for those of you who will go on to get your doctorate degree, know that it is a worthy yet unraveling experience. And so I'm sitting in I just want to feel my emotions place. And I get a call from a former student. Hadn't talked to him in a while, right? But still would think of him fondly, text when I could, though I never heard back. And he called me to say, Miss B, I finally crossed into that fraternity that we talked about. The same fraternity, right, that he had talked about and dreamed about in my office when I was working at Elder Community College, and him and his boys would do secret strolls in the aisles, right, where nobody could see them because he was so focused, so excited on this one goal. He had finally done it. And that was enough, right? So I'm crying. I got the ugly cry on, right? The color purple snipples just coming down. And then he goes, Miss B, I know I disappeared for a while, but I need you to also know I'm about to graduate. I graduate this weekend. And he said, I know that I disappeared, but I need you to know that even though I didn't talk to you, your words were with me and you helped me every single day. Now, every good educator in here can understand the power of such a moment. As a Black educator, as a radically conscious educator, as a Black family member or a parent connected to a precious, young, growing Black body, we know that daily we are hoping to sow enough seed and plow enough protected fields in your mind to excavate out every seed of self-hate and inferiority that has been chasing you since the day that you were born. Every classroom is warfare. Every life lesson at home is a strategic, offensive move because we understand what is against you and what has always been against us. So to get a call like that, to know that when I took Sam and Ida and Maya and Marcus Garvey and my mama and my granddaddy and even the girls who heckled my yellow shoes with me up into that college when I started, to know that it helped me sow a seed that was now blooming, that someone was able to find nourishment from it, in addition to the love and support from his family and his friends. That was incredible to me. And while he was calling to thank me, he had no idea what he was doing for me, because I exited my pity party. And then 2 days later, I turned in my comprehensive exam. And then a few weeks later, I passed my comprehensive exam on the first try. It was the fire that I needed because we need you. We need each other. We need each other's excellence. We need to accept our immutable brilliance. These are not just A's and B's you are earning. These are not just certificates for your wall or your scrapbook. What you are doing is setting earmarks in the legacy of your resistance. In closing, I want to leave you with this, because I was preparing for this for a while, and I think about my audience a lot when I'm getting ready. So a few days ago, I turn on to 90, and as I'm leaning into the curve, I am blinded by the sun. And it's like, visors coming down, people putting on their sunglasses. You see people bending their necks, trying to maneuver, right? Because the sun don't have no type of care for us to be able to see. And I thought of you. And I thought, I hope they shine like this forever. I hope you shine so hard, folk gotta flinch when you walk into the room. Shine so hard, so unabashedly, so unashamed, so immutably. Let those in the room have to adjust, have to pivot, have to figure out how to curve their neck, how to adjust and how to move now that you have entered the room. And if the room is too small, bring the same level of brilliance. And if the aroma of how we have decided to show up beyond just enough, fully occupying every ounce of exceptional that we have, inherited from over 1,000 years of ancestors who defied every coerced, murderous, animalistic, and inhumane attempt to convince us that we were the ones that were not human. If that upsets people's nostrils, let them get offended. I want you to put on your yellow and let your brilliance shine. Thank you.
Put on your yellow and let your brilliance shine. We are going to give it up for the amazing Mrs. Brittany Barber. We thank you endlessly for inspiring us and compelling us and helping us to realize the absolute inherent brilliance that resides within each of us. We are so much more than the struggle. Thank you for helping and supporting as we move along this timely and timeless journey. Next, we'll have a presentation from Ms. Brittany Davis, who will present our student recognition portion of tonight's event, followed by her piece, This Moment. These students were all identified to be highlighted on tonight, as they are the top 10% of Black scholars in grades 6, 8, and 12 across our U-46 schools. Thank you.
Our first group of honorees is comprised of the brightest 6th grade students from across our district. They've exhibited dedication to their studies and laid a solid foundation for what is sure to be a successful academic career. As they prepare to move on to middle school, we'd like to congratulate them on their accomplishments thus far. Our 8th grade honorees not only navigated an already extremely difficult academic transition, they did it during a pandemic, earning exemplary grades. Making the switch from elementary to middle, in-person to virtual, and back, these students have proven resilience and are the epitome of Black excellence. Kudos to you. Finally, our seniors. Despite the obstacles that come with being Black in America's education system, these students have devoted upward of 13 years of continued hard work. Your futures are surely bright, and we wish you continued success.
Let me start with saying I do not have all the answers, and I definitely haven't done everything right. But when pitted against complacency, I always put up a good fight. So I won't stand here and preach what's expected, nor will I assume you want or need my help. Instead, allow me a few moments to share some things I've learned, things that if I could, I share with my younger self. Dear little B, it doesn't get easier, but you get a heck of a lot stronger. You develop the skills necessary to establish the life you want. You acquire life experiences that shape you into a person you're proud to be. You not only seek joy, but inspire it. So every stride you take towards freedom be one taken with pride, assuredness, and faith. Because it'll be hard to see, but even your missteps and backslides will serve a purpose. From them, you will gain knowledge, not only of the world, but of yourself, your priorities, capabilities, your passions. Keep your heart open to hard truths, and these lessons, the ones not learned in a classroom, will help drive your success. Darling, you're destined to succeed. I would tell a younger me that life can be both hard and happy at the same time. You may feel far removed, but you'll never be alone. Seek solace in your community and know it forever as your home. Because of our society, it'd be hard for younger me to really hear me when I say that picture perfect timeline, life does not always work that way. Don't wait around for good to come. If you want happy, then you create it. That dream, that goal is but a chance just waiting for you to take it. Know where you're going and what you want, and know with certainty the why. Know the reason, move with purpose, and you'll be limitless by and by. That future happiness you're working toward is not some prize received. You can't win it. No one hands it out at your next milestone or goal achieved. Rather, it's an accumulation of lived moments. So be happy now. Do not postpone joy, love, or peace for the idea of a fairy tale ending. Erase the doubts, pencil in pride, demand growth from start to finish. You're the author of your story. The power, you own it. Let this be your ever after. Seize your happy this week. Good luck, guys.
Thank you, Miss B. Miss B writes, for sharing such a deeply responsive work with us. We see you, sis. Next, we're going to provide space for Mr. Robert West Jr. to come. He does have an update he'd like to share for us on the behalf of Brothers Rise Up. So let us welcome Robert West Jr.
Okay, sorry for last time. I didn't have anything to say, but now I do. Okay, so Black history is important to me because it is our history. We recently started a Black student union at Kenyon Woods Middle School, where we have the opportunity to learn more about Black history that is not normally taught in class. We plan to continue and start a Black student union at South Elgin High School. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. That was Mr. Robert West Jr. On nights like tonight, we have the opportunity to reflect on the endless contributions of our staff, our families, our students, and all stakeholders. So we recognize that we are more than a linear line, a dash. Sometimes we zig and zag. Whatever we do, we show up fully. I would like to bring up Keisha Williams, who will close us out for this evening.
Good evening. Immutable brilliance. You matter. Matter of factly. Mrs. B, girl, you a bad mamma jamma. Thank you, sis. Thank you. Hi, I am Keisha Williams, a school social worker in the district. And before I go any further, let me take a moment to acknowledge the ancestors on whose shoulders we stand. We are grateful for their legacy, the fortitude and grace and perseverance that they have left for us. And so for that, I say, Ashe. Now, with that being said, I want to congratulate and welcome the 2022 cohort of Black History Month recipients into the U-46 history books today. So thank you guys again. Congratulations for the 6th and 8th graders. We're going to be watching you. And for those who are watching, hey, get on our list so that we can put you on this list for the next coming years. If I could have the committee members that are in the room to turn on their cameras, I'll take a moment to call them out so that you know who has come together for this magnificent evening. And I'll give a quick minute for them to come on the screen. This year's committee is as follows. We have Beverly Britton, Latrice Satterwhite, Crystal Bush, Darlene Terry, Charlotte Coleman, April Wells, Peggy Jackson, Janelle Lawrence Tabb, Teresa Winters, and myself. And so this is the group of educators whose goal continues to be to expand the narrative about African-American youth, to showcase their accomplishments, to let them know, we see you, you matter. And with that being said, we want to thank you. We want to say thank you to everyone behind the scenes who helped out, and most especially Carla Jimenez and the School and Community Relations Department. We appreciate you so much. And last, but certainly not least, to the parents, we salute you. Job well done. We hope that you have enjoyed this celebration, our fourth year of celebrating our youth for Black History Month, and we thank you all for joining us. Have a good night.